Today, we are very lucky to have a very accomplished person with us. Right now, we have with us Dr. Anushila Chatterjee. I'm sorry, I missed the name. Dr. Anushila Chatterjee. She is a national level gymnast, a PhD biochemist, and now promoting gender equality. It's very, very impressive. So let's listen to her. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you, sir. First of all, thank you for inviting me to your session, and also thank you for the kind introduction. Um, I would start with my go a little bit deeper into my introduction, how I started. Um, I was a national gymnast when I was in school, and I actually wanted to follow my career in sports. I did not enjoy studies much, uh, but in when I was in ninth standard, I we had a new science teacher at school, um, who just made science fun, who made science an interesting subject, something people enjoyed learning, something people enjoyed doing. And that basically changed my career trajectory. And I fell in love with biology, and I knew I had to know more. Um, in fact, people didn't believe that I would probably do well in 11th and 12th standard if I take science, but I just I didn't want to give up, and I continued in 11th, 12th with science, and it was very clear to me that I want to take up biology after that. So I did, and I continued to do my PhD after completing my undergrad and masters in microbiology. I went to the United States to do my PhD in biochemistry. And then I also did a postdoc for about 3.5 years in related to finding novel therapeutic options for antibiotic resistant bacteria, pathogenic bacteria. But one thing I realized when I moved from India to US is the curriculum, the implementation of the curriculum is very different. Everything was inquiry based, and that's something stuck with me. And I always knew that I wanted to come back to India, and I want to utilize this to help students in India. Because when I did my undergraduate and masters, it was mostly rote learning. So I wanted to be a different kind of a mentor and a teacher. So when I came back to India, I still I wanted to be in academia. I wanted to. I love interacting with the students. I feel that it's not just them learning from me. I'm constantly learning from them as well. So I have mentored different students from different backgrounds, different career stages when I was in the US. When I came back, that was kind of the obvious choice for me that I would go for academia. But it was the middle of the pandemic, 2021, February. I was still interviewing for academic positions, and I saw this post on LinkedIn about volunteering to be a mentor at VigyanShaala's Kalpana She for STEM program. And I volunteered because at that time I was at home, and I thought I could really gain something from this program. And when I joined the program, I realized that my thinking, my skills, I have a lot of transferable skills that could be really leveraged to have a broader impact than restricting myself to a particular set of college students, and like, 30 students per college, or maybe 60, 80, 90 students, but I could have a broader impact if I transition to a new sector. Also, so I at that time, luckily for me, VigyanShaala was expanding. Before that, they were a volunteer-run team. So I was the fourth full-time employee at their team. So I joined their team, and from there, I did learn a lot. I used my transferable skills that I picked up during my scientific research, whether it's like, managing multiple projects, understanding how to fill different knowledge gaps. I could explain or communicate effectively across different audiences. So I did utilize those skills, but I have also learned a lot of things that I did not know about the social development sector when I transitioned to a completely new sector. So I took online courses. I interacted with people who have been working in the sector for a long time. At the Nudge, they have a lot of courses. The Human Academy, NSR Cell. These are the places where VigyanShaala also got support from. So I was lucky to get those mentoring as well, and that I think has helped me to rapidly adapt. And now today, at like VigyanShaala is we have a team of about 17, 18 people. So we have grown a lot over the past few years. And I feel really lucky to have leveraged my skills for a completely different cause from where I started.
Well, it's very impressive to make that change from basically a lab, because in the work you do in your master's and PhD is basically lab work, and
Right.
to move out of the lab and hit the field running on the ground, that is actually quite a feat. But you talked about this, but let's go back and you said people never thought you will do well in science and all, but how was your college and your master's experience? Let's little bit to the personal side also.
Um, actually, when I started loving the subject, so like I said, in school, I was not good in studies in my early school years. I concentrated on sports. Like, I had a very long training hours. So, and the most important thing I would say, I did not enjoy studying. Um, but like came class 9, I started learning, I started enjoying science, doing science. Um, and so when I went to 11, 12, and because I knew that if I fail, right, and like people would say, "Well, we told you so not to take science," right? So I was determined to succeed. And in college and masters, it was exactly the opposite of what my parents had to do than what they did at school. They would always tell me to study. At undergrad and masters, they would ask me to stop studying and go out sometimes.
Yeah,
So it was like, and I think it's also because of the subject. I I really loved studying. Um, I would get books from like download books from online, or I would take books from college. I would pair up with my best friend from college and masters, and prepare notes. But the other thing I knew is that um, like these are all the things that I'm learning, but I had this drive of I need to do something more. I need to, really find something that maybe no one else knows about. So there was some drive to do my PhD. But the other thing that did play a role, though, which I feel now, is that during my college or like undergraduate and master's, I was not aware about a lot of career options in microbiology or like life science field. Um, all good students coming from our college went and did PhD. That's what everybody encouraged us to do. So I knew that that's probably the only track I had. It was only after we went abroad, I started learning about different careers in science. And then I realized that you could actually have, and it's not just that you would, the only meaningful career after your PhD is being a professor. There
Yeah.
are so many things that you can
Yeah.
utilize your skills. And in fact, I think it's probably a bit selfish to restrict all the PhDs to just being professors, because I think there's a lot of other sectors we could use the brain powers that many PhDs have.
Okay. All right. So you won't tell us what fun you had when you were younger.
Oh, I did have a lot of fun in college. Same like other people, other students in college. There was this one time we all must bunked, and it was the time IMAX just started, but we didn't have enough money to go to IMAX. So the only show that we could afford was like a 9:30 a.m. show.
Wow.
So and we really did not like that class. So I think except one guy, all of us went to the movie.
Uh-huh.
And of course, the teacher was livid when we came back. It was not good, but we did have a lot of fun.
Okay. All right. How was it in the US for you?
US was great. So in Buffalo, uh, it was very cold.
Yeah,
I
that's
was
what I was going to say.
Yeah, so it was very cold. That's one thing that I had to adjust with, but I learned. But my PhD advisor was a great guy, Dr. Mark O'Brien, and he also valued the one thing that helped me is he never told me, Anu, do X, Y, Z. He kind of let me drive the project and figure out my path. So that hands-off training actually gave me the ownership of the learning. So initially it was a bit slow, but I think in the long run, looking back, I feel that that really helped me go like ask questions and figure things out. I also had two really good seniors in lab. Dr. Siva Sankari, she's a assistant professor at Stowers Institute now, and Sid, who is working in the industry right now. Both of them are in US. So both of them had been amazing in helping me figure out the project, new skills. I also learned different things in the lab. I also played for Buffalo's table tennis team, like the college table tennis team. So I did have a lot of fun. They do have at Buffalo. There's a big Bengali community. I was very close to family there. They treated me like their own. They cooked food for me. I stayed at their places. I played with their children, and I think that also, like, so it's not just the entirety of it was a good experience. And there was a lot ups and downs, but of course, I mean, everyone has that. But overall, it was a great experience, and I absolutely loved my time in postdoc. I think it was the best 3.5 years I had in US.
Mm.
My PI was extremely interactive, and he helped me learn a lot of new things because he was also a new PI. I was the first postdoc in the lab. So I did uh, learn a lot of things directly from him, whether it's skill or like learning to set up the new lab. And also like the other labs around the department, they were very collaborative, which is one thing I did not have an opportunity in my PhD because of the subject area that we worked in. But that changed completely during my postdoc. I collaborated. I also had like really good friends in the department, and I think it was one of the hardest days to leave when I knew I was coming back.
Okay.
I love Denver.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a all right.
yeah.
It's a famous city, and if you are the outdoors type, I think it's even more. But
Yes, I
whatever.
am.
Right. So great. Any advice you have for young people in India?
Yes. One thing I suggest to young people is nowadays there is a lot of resources available online. But so first is want to it's to figure out what you would want to do, and then look for those resources that will propel your journey, instead of getting courses randomly. The focus and a targeted approach towards career really helps. The second thing is interacting with a mentor if they can, who could help them figure out, give them career advice, or even like personal advice to really help them make a career. So these are the two advices I think I would have.
And what about your own future? How do you see that?
uh, for me, I would like to continue in the field of gender equality, and I would see myself working in bringing systemic changes. Um, for example, right now I am looking more into how to get women into the workforce, into the STEM workforce. Right? My next goal, or like long-term goal, is to figure out how do we keep them, retain them in the workforce, because that's also one of the challenges. How do we
Mm.
retain the talent? How do we promote them, take them, make them, help them take the leadership positions? So how do we make workplaces more inclusive, whether it's through educational initiatives, gender action lab, um, or policy changes?
All right. Let me just ask you, this may be a bit outside your field. Uh, how do you see the pharma situation in industry in India at this time? Because that's somewhat related to your field. So maybe you could have got a job in that, maybe. So how do you see it?
Um, I think a lot of the pharma here, um, one thing is they do very little research on microbiology related products. I didn't really see much where I could use, because I always wanted to, even in industry, I looked for R&D uh, type type of roles. I was not much interested in like sales and marketing training types of roles. Those roles are available, but R&D is not as uh, progressed or as much happening as I would like it to be. In India, I have also seen that, I mean, of course, there are pharmaceutical companies where if people are coming from eukaryotic background, or they do have some more options than people coming from microbiology background. Secondly, this is not just, I have not faced it, but I have heard from some of my colleagues that, for example, the industry positions, when they open up, they try to fill that position pretty quickly because that's how the sector works. But why, if you're applying from abroad, usually people need some time to transition, and some of the industries were not very not able to wait for that transition period. So that's other thing, at least in pharmaceutical and biology sectors, but that's not true for let's say engineering fields. I have friends and colleagues who transitioned easily. The other thing I have seen that a lot of the industry positions in pharma in India, you don't really need a PhD.
Right.
Masters is good enough.
Right.
And they are probably very, I'm not 100%, I'm not saying that it's 100% for all the jobs, but they could be very repetitive jobs where you don't really need a PhD to contribute.
Okay. Fair enough. That's exactly. Anything else you want to add here?
One thing I think I would just like to add is for people who are doing PhDs, is to really think when they're looking for career options, is why do they want to become a professor, or why do they want to become a PhD? Instead, like really understanding beyond the job title, what kind of lifestyle they're looking for, what kind of meanings that they're looking for. Because I think a lot of PhDs do have, like most PhDs would have a lot of skills that could be transferred into different government and non-government sectors. So I would just encourage them to explore different careers in science and really find what they like doing through maybe volunteering or engaging with people from different sectors, and then building certain skills to transition to a new area.
Okay. All right. That's very good. Thank you so much, Dr. Anushila Chatterjee. This time I'll get the name right. It's been a great pleasure to listen to you. Thank you so much. Let's say bye to the viewers. I'll be back with another young person or an expert soon. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.